Core is live. The open alpha for Core starts now. So go to coregames.com. You can download Core, whether you want to play, whether you want to create, or both. Okay, so my invitation to you is come experiment in Core. And now we're going to get into the demo with Jordan.
Awesome, thank you, Frederick. So if you go to coregames.com and you log in, you're going to see the web page, and there's really sort of two sides to Core. Like we said, there's a side for the creators and a side for the players. So if I go to the web page and okay, awesome. This is what I should see is the Core Games webpage. All right. And you will see a bunch of different games that you can play and a bunch of different new games that are being published all the time and from the community, from us. I can click on any one of these games and hit play, and if I do that, it will launch me into the client and join the game. However, the best way I think to demonstrate Core for you right now is to make a game live from scratch. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the Core client, and we'll see how it looks. So in the Core client, you can also see the games that are there. You can go to your character and change what your character is. So you can see how our character system works here. There's going to be a bunch of characters for you to choose from. Our characters are really cool. They're also mix and matchable. So if I wanted to go in and edit this character, I can choose different heads to be. I can choose different tops and mix and match everything together. So if I wanted to do, let's say, this for my character, there, awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new game. So in Core, there's several ways to create games. You can create a new game from scratch, and if you click Create Game, you'll get a brand new empty project. Or you can use what we call a core game framework. And a core game framework allows you to get any one of these styles of games from any viewpoint, third person, first person, top down, just by clicking one of these buttons. And that will give you an entire fully functional game of that genre with white box graphics that you can replace and remix and change to your desire. Everything in Core has been built to be sort of opt-in complexity. What that means is that if you don't know how to code or if you don't know how to do artwork, you can just drag and drop things in and it will work. Now, if you do know how to code, we support Lua as a scripting language, and you can go in and edit everything about the game. So I'm going to actually start a third-person empty game here, and I'm going to call it Core Live Demo. And that will drop me into the editing suite. And now that I'm in the editing suite, if I don't do anything, if I don't do a single thing, I will have that character that I had in the avatar, the character creator, and I will be able to run around third person on a plane and have standard third person locomotion controls. If I published this game right now, this would be multiplayer out of the box. So we could all run around on that little blue plane together, but I don't think that would be very fun. So let's add some more stuff to our game. I'm going to go ahead and take a 10,000 foot view here and generate a brand new terrain. So I'm going to choose from a bunch of different presets. I'm going to choose background mountains. And so you can see that I get some nice randomly generated background mountains here. Again, with the blue standard material that we have on it. So the first thing I want to do is replace that. I'm going to go up here to Core Content, and Core Content is all the assets that we've provided as Manticore Games, really high quality 3D models, really high quality materials, audio, music, VFX, everything. And in there I can search, so I'm going to search for a terrain material to put on here. So you can see here I've got some really nice terrain materials. I'm going to drag and drop, and I've got snow on my mountains all of a sudden. If I drag and drop desert, I get desert. So let's set our game in the desert. And now there's a few ways to make things in Core. Like I said, I can just grab some 3D objects and start pulling them in and scaling them and do other things like that if I wanted to. Or I can use community content. Down here you see community content at the bottom, and this is anything that's made by anybody in the Core community that they've decided to share with the rest of the community. And this could be something as simple as a little model that they've built, all the way to something as complex as a complete game framework. So if I'm gonna type in Sniper here, and I'm going to find Sniper Alley Construction Kit, which is a complete game framework for making a third-person shooter game. I'm going to import that to my project. You'll see it's very quick. And once that is imported, you'll see that what it is a series of, we call templates, that I can use to make my game out of. You see them here on the left-hand side. So now I'm going to just start dragging and dropping stuff in. I'm going to start with the arena, and I'm going to drag and drop the arena into my desert here, and you can see all of a sudden I've got a nice arena for my game to take place in. I want to stress that this arena was completely user-generated content. So if I can grab any piece of this and move it around, and it's all made by somebody, whoever made this construction kit made this arena for me to set my game in, but it's still completely modifiable. I can change it however I want. If I move it there, the waterfall adjusts. So I'm going to start filling this up with some stuff, some more models, while Frederick talks a little bit about how this is different from traditional game making.
Yes, so as I alluded before, the traditional game development pipeline is a very heavy pipeline. It's probably one of the most complex pipelines of any products and services out there, as you know, right? So you have the back end, the middleware, you have the front end, you have highly graphical environments, you have real-time multiplayer, everything has to be deterministic and perfect, right? Just to give you an idea, the current game development pipeline involves sometimes over a dozen tools, right? You use Substance, Marmoset, Maya, 3D, whatever, and then of course you integrate that into an engine. The other thing to understand is that for a game creator like Jordan, even an experienced one with 25 years of experience in gaming, it is actually rare that he's allowed to touch the code. He dictates his changes, he indicates the changes he wants to make to the game, and sometimes it takes days, if not weeks, to make changes to a game, right? So, we, by the way, as a team, we've worked on MMOs, we've worked on console games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, MOBAs, Facebook games, console games, PC games, so on and so forth. And I can tell you that this pipeline, we've actually experienced it for many years, and it's a heavy, rigid, codified, etc. pipeline. So here it's obviously radically different. You've seen already, Jordan made a multiplayer game, real-time multiplayer game in just a few minutes using assets that he didn't necessarily create. And all that is, of course, mix and match. It can be organized in any possible ways. You can change really anything you see on the screen very fast. So the act of creation, the act of collaboration, the act of iteration are all extremely fast on core. It's actually vastly faster than anything that's out there today. Also, it's highly accessible, right? It's really like having your own studio in a box, just for you to use and peruse the way you want. So things that are going to be possible with Core, that are already possible with Core, is extremely small teams making amazing, complex games. Sometimes even single people, solo creators. We also have anecdotes of people who are just let's say UI UX people, and in gaming UI UX people, they typically don't make games, they make UI UX, but we've seen these people make some of the best looking, best playing games. Likewise with some back-end engineers, people who are just back-end engineers. One of them, they are making amazing games because they've always had these genius game design ideas they couldn't express before. They needed a team, they needed funding, they needed like a bunch of tools on here. In one place they have this tool through which they can create this world, these games. It doesn't have to be games, it can be anything really. It can be stories, it can be experiences. And now, one of the most impressive parts of the technology we've built is what Jordan is about to show, right? So you've seen already, creation is super easy, iteration is super easy. And by the way, that game has physics, it has a real-time multiplayer code already baked natively in it. And so the next part is obviously publishing. And publishing is going to be just a few seconds.
Yep, so we're going to show that now, and I'm going to show real quick, one of the things I dropped in here was the gameplay logic and the UI. The gameplay logic is interesting because if you're not a coder and you want to change stuff, you can actually go in here and just change player settings, how fast the player moves, what the team settings are, free-for-all versus deathmatch, versus teams or whatever. And I tested it out and it looked like it worked. Everything worked single player. So now I'm going to go ahead and publish it. So I just click Publish Game. I save it. And I get the publish dialog. I'm going to say that this is a deathmatch game. And I'm going to add a screenshot. there's a good screenshot from my game. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a public game, and we'll publish it right now. So right now I'll go ahead and publish. Wait a few seconds, usually on the order of 5 to 10 seconds. And there it is, it's done, it's published, and the link is live on the Core Games webpage. So there that is. I'm going to go fully quit out of Core and join the game from the webpage so you can all see how that works.
So the thing to understand is that the game Jordan created didn't exist. It was on his computer. It's a complex game. It's real-time multiplayer. It was just on his computer. Now it is live anywhere in the world. The server has been spun up. The server also didn't exist a few seconds ago. So we've invested quite a bit in terms of backend and server technology to allow all that to be fully transparent to the creators. They don't have to know the client server architecture, technology, theory, practice. No, it all comes straight out of the box. Real-time multiplayer. We spin up the servers for you dynamically wherever you are in the world. With a server optimized specifically for the type of games or the region where you are. Want to do a little call out to all the good folks at Microsoft on Azure. We are using quite a bit of their technology, and it's been really wonderful working with you. Thank you.
Awesome. So this is multiplayer. You can see the other players I'm playing with. Some of them are Manticore employees. Some of them are some of our closed alpha creators because I made the game live for everybody. And now I'm going to show another really cool feature of Core. I blew open this secret chamber here. And if we go into the secret chamber, there's a portal. And as you saw in the trailer, portals can take you to different games. So portals, just like clicking on a web page, can take you to a completely different game that's potentially written by another creator running on a different server somewhere. So if our alpha users stop shooting each other, we can, for a second, we can come in here and all go into this portal, and it should spin up a new game, and we'll see where we are. So I'm going to go ahead and go through, and we'll join into a new game, and all my friends can come with me.
So what you're about to see is really, I think, one of the most magical features in Core. We call it the portals, right? So the portals, sorry, I'm losing my French here because it's such an amazing feature. It really allows like so many possible things, and it's enabled by the architecture we've built, the way we've architectured Core, where the client is the same for the creators and the players. It's a single piece of software, and likewise on the server side. Therefore, the games are these extremely small definition files. What does that mean? Well, it means that you can connect your games, your levels, your worlds any way you want, and going from one to another in just a matter of seconds, right? So even more concretely, what will that allow? Well, truly we don't know, right? We'll see what people are going to create, how they are going to collaborate, hook up their worlds together, their games, their levels. But again, like in just a matter of seconds, you can be going from one game to another. The games could be vastly different, and it truly feels magical. So it's really, and the portals don't have to be actual portals. They can be really anything. They can be a door, they can be a slate on the floor, they can be a button, or they can be, of course, a beautiful portal. So when people see the demo and they say, hey, you are building the multiverse, right? This is what they mean. It means that people can connect all their worlds, games, etc. in an endless series in a multiverse, right? And that's truly what we've seen already happening during the closed alpha. We've seen people making a game together and connecting their levels, their dungeons, their maps. And here Jordan joins a completely different game, obviously. You've seen lots of third-person shooter games, and now we're seeing something completely different, top-down, right?
Yeah, so this is sort of a top-down homage to the IO genre, where it is sort of drop in, drop out, and find as much gold and bring it to port as you can while avoiding the other ships. You'll upgrade your ships. This game is now live on coregames.com. It's called Cannons and Corsairs, and you can play it. You can jump in and sink each other like that. Turn in gold and win and upgrade your ship. It feels really cool when you've upgraded all the way to a huge galleon. And there we go.
chat.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Fanny Packs asks, is Core supposed to be like Ready Player One, where it's one universe but a lot of different games?
It can be that. It can be sort of anything that we as a community decide to make it. If the community wants to join all their games together into one huge multiverse, a la Ready Player One, it's absolutely possible.
Awesome.
You could even make single-player games in Core. There's nothing that prevents you from making a single-player game, or even just a narrative experience, machinima, all that stuff, all rolled in one.
I mean, one of the main aspirations behind Core is really to unleash a new form of creativity in gaming. Gaming today is still reserved to the elite, is still reserved to people who are located in certain places in the world, have access to the technology, the teams, the funding. And here, really what we're talking about is a revolution, UGC revolution, akin to what we've seen maybe with Twitch or YouTube, right? If I had told you 10 years ago, hey, this 7-year-old girl, this 7-year-old boy, in 10 to 12 years, these two will be mega celebrities. They would have millions of followers. They would make millions of dollars. They would be trendsetters. They didn't go to college. And what are they doing? They are streaming themselves, making videos of themselves, playing video games, talking about video games. You probably wouldn't have believed me, right? But that is what's happening today. And we've seen it again on Twitch, on YouTube. And I think the revolution we're about to see is very similar. But today it's with Core, it's for creativity in gaming, obviously. So the way it's going to play out, we don't know. Really, it's really up to the creators. I think, as we've seen in gaming, there is so much creativity, so much invention, so much innovation. Some of the biggest games in the industry over the last 10 years came from modding, right? The biggest games we've seen over the last 10 years, whether it's League of Legends, our good friends at Riot, whether it's PUBG, Apex, Fortnite, all these games actually originated from mods. So we're going to see, I think, a very similar level of creativity, but probably to the power of 1 million, if you ask me. There is really no barrier for a 14-year-old girl in Belgium or a group of 19-year-old in South America who wants to be game designers but maybe don't have access to the schools, to the companies, to technology. Maybe it's too expensive, and now there is Core. So truly, it's going to be really interesting to see what the community creates. Again, one of the things you might already understand is the speed of iteration with Core is absolutely amazing. It's not just creation, it's not just collaboration, but the speed of iteration is crazy. And again, we want to contrast that with what's actually going on in the traditional game development pipeline, where sometimes to iterate, it takes days, it takes weeks to be able to playtest your new game. While here, you have creation is super fast, publishing is super fast, and in turn, you get feedback right away. So the community can give you feedback instantly, and you can almost instantly implement all this feedback in your game, whether it's changing the height of the mountain, adding more building, removing trees, changing the weather, changing the gravity, the time of the day, changing the multiplayer gameplay mode from Battle Royale to capture on hold or capture the flag. Everything is possible in just a matter of seconds. And in turn, you publish back to the community and you say, I heard your feedback. I still think that Battle Royale is better for that map, but you said you wanted to try capture the flag, so I made it. 2 minutes later, the community tries it, and then you figure out what is the best map. And you can keep the 2 maps. You can change the map. You can change the gameplay mode forever. You can also give the game entirely to the community to change, right? With no technical, pre-existing technical skills in engineering or art, you can change games in a WYSIWYG fashion and then publish them. Very, very complex games.
So what I've joined here is Core Plaza. This is sort of a showcase theme park to show off everything that Core has to offer right now. It is everything that you've seen so far in the stream. And if you're just joining us on the stream, go to coregames.com and download the client and you can join us. Everything you've seen and so far has been built entirely within Core. And it's also going to be available to the community to share and remix. So everything you see in Core Plaza, in Cannons and Corsairs, you can actually start that as a base. And you can modify them and edit them and change them and republish them, all that stuff.
Then I have some really good questions from Twitch chat. Our first one up is from Macoberry, and they ask, how is this different from the concept of Roblox?
It's a very, very good question. Actually, Roblox is a company we know very well. They're right around the corner. It's an amazing company. I'm sure they are probably on stream today. Core is very different from what's currently in the marketplace, right? Whether you compare Core to an engine, a store, a publisher, so on and so forth. So a couple of things. One, as you can see, the quality of the graphics, right? I mean, the graphics are really high fidelity. Some people say, look, it's basically AAA level. It's also really up to the creators to choose whatever graphical style they want. Even though here you've seen somewhat a unified style, but if you decide your game's hero, your game's character needs to be a blue blob or a cube, that's fine. You have lots of different art styles you can choose and push. So the high fidelity of the graphics, that's one thing. The other thing is that the high fidelity of the gameplay, right? Jordan, myself, lots of people on the team, we are all super hardcore, real-time multiplayer players, right? So we play Apex, Fortnite, we used to play WoW and Counter-Strike and all these games that where the bar for the gameplay fidelity is super high, right? And making real-time multiplayer games today is the hardest type of games to make from a technical perspective, okay? So that's where we come from. That's what we play, that's what we used to make. And so we have built, baked into Core natively, amazing real-time multiplayer code to allow any sort of multiplayer gameplay. Also, not just real-time multiplayer, it could be asynchronous, can be solo, can be RPGs, etc. You do whatever you want, but technically the hardest thing to do in gaming is real-time multiplayer games. And that's what we've built. So that's the second very important point that's very special about Core. Also the fact that it's really just one tool. And it's not just for the graphics, not just for the gameplay. I'm so distracted, it's so beautiful. It's also the audio and the music. We invested pretty heavily in very good audio and music tools. Also, Core comes natively with tons of audio and soundtracks and music. We have a really amazing audio engineer whom we've hired over a year ago, and that combined with the help from the engineering and the art team, I think we have a pretty substantial tool that has a large surface area encompassing not just the graphics and the building and the collaboration, but also the audio, the multiplayer, the servers, etc.
The other thing I want to mention, Frederick mentioned, is that the client and the editor suite are one piece of software. So anyone who is a player has the ability to also be a creator. You don't need to download any separate software, and you can start remixing games right away. And so hopefully that is playing.
And that's a very important point, right? It's not the act of creation, the act of contribution in Core can start with contributing something as small as an asset, a weapon, a building, even a pillar, a box, etc., or some minor gameplay mechanics, all the way to, of course, full games. Also, all the way to potentially new form of creation and iteration based more maybe on curation. Like, for instance, I have an idea for my own level that will be full of portals with some of the best games of the week or the month on Core, right? That is also possible. Another question I know we are getting, because one of my kids just texted me, thanks Johan for the question, is monetization, right? So one of our aspirations for Core for sure is to really unleash a new form of creativity, to really unleash creativity in a new way in gaming. Allow people to do stuff that were not possible before, right? Also really expand the definition of who is a creator. Today's definition of who is a creator, who is a game maker in gaming is fairly narrow. Okay, we already talked about it. It's for the elite by the elite. Well, this is about to change because really anybody can participate in Core. Last summer we had a wonderful internship program with middle school, high school students, young game design students, and they were all able to make fantastic games in core very quickly. Actually, most of them now are part of the Manticore team. Tasha was one of them. But the other aspiration, very strong aspiration we have, is to build an economic platform for the creators. It's very important for us that the creators cannot just create, collaborate, iterate, work together, publish, build a following, build an audience. All that is very important. But just like with Twitch on YouTube, it's very important for people to be able to make money.
Even one of those interns made that airship that we just dropped out of. So this is so now we're playing Core Royale. You can guess what style of game this is, but it's a fully functional battle royale, completely built in Core using the Core game framework. So those are, again, available to any creator to make their own game. You can make it a battle royale. You can change anything about it. So if you've ever played a battle royale and said, I wish that it had low gravity, or I wish that it had sniper rifles only, guns only, rocket launchers only, you can absolutely do that in Core without having to know how to program. So I hear we have 9,000 viewers right now on Twitch. Welcome. Can I get some love in the chat? And then also, it's time to try hard, because obviously I cannot die first with this many viewers in my own software. So I'm going to go and find some things. Let's take a look at the map and see where the circle's going to be. All right.
So one thing I wanted to point out is that this game is called Core Royale. Obviously, it's an homage to the battle royale genre. It was also made in just a few weeks by just a few people.
Yep.
And we've shown that game to some of the biggest creators of battle royale games in the world today, and they were like, "Oh, you've made that over the last year and a half?" And we said, "No, it's just the last few weeks with a few people on the team," and they were flabbergasted.
So how about we make this interesting? Jordan, why don't you play while you take questions from chat?
Sure.
So we have a few good ones. Okay, so I'm just going to start you off with a really excellent one. This is a hot topic. You can probably guess what it is. Is there any way to monetize your own creations?
Yes, it's a great question. And so we're in open alpha starting as of today. In the open alpha, we do not have the monetization features in yet, but they will be coming online soon. And yes, we do want creators to be able to make an entire living. Oh, look at that. I was able to do that while talking. What is the bandage? So we do want creators to be able to make a living inside of Core. So there will be monetization options for your own games that you make. And we'll be announcing those. Oh, hold on. Oh, reloading. Okay. And we'll be announcing those as we get closer to beta. But it absolutely will be possible. And as part of the open alpha, we sort of want people to get used to the tools, used to creating, figure out what they're going to make. And then, yeah, we'll definitely have that option.
Excellent. Okay, here's another one. How does creating content work? Do you have a built-in program?
Yep, that's a really good question. And so if you're just joining the stream, a little bit earlier, I made a game from scratch using built-in content. So everything in Core, Core is like a game studio in a box for free. It comes with all the high-quality assets you would need to make a game. And if there's an asset that you want to use in your game that isn't in Core, you can combine other assets to make it. So for instance, in that game that I was playing earlier, the Sniper Alley game that I made, the palm trees were made out of ferns put on top of cylinders. So Core, everything you need is included in Core.
Okay, and then we have a bunch more. Do we have to purchase server space?
No. So Core is a free-to-play and free-to-create service. So everything you make on Core, you do not have to pay for the servers. You do not have to pay for the software to download, the assets to use in the game. Everything is included. And yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
Excellent. Okay. We have one from, the name is Kat. They ask, so is this an engine or is this a game?
It's a really great question. And not to sound too hyperbolic, but I think it's a whole new platform and paradigm for how to make and distribute and publish games. It's more than an engine. I would say it's really a sort of a service platform. It's built on top of Unreal Engine 4, and but it adds a whole bunch of new functionality that you can use to publish your game with one click and have it playable for anybody within a few minutes.
All right, and Brahmagola asks, how can you create your own game assets when you can't import anything?
That's a great question, and I'm glad somebody asked it. This is actually something that we tested in the summer with our interns. Initially we were sort of asking ourselves that same question: how can you build stuff in Core if you can't import a 3D model of your own? But we were actually really surprised at the creativity and how people were able to make stuff. Even every single gun that you saw in this Battle Royale game is user generated through pieces that we have in Core. So if you imagine it's sort of like a box of Legos, you don't mold your own Legos out of plastic. You find the Legos and you build things that might not exist otherwise. So we've included lots of materials. You can drag and drop any material onto any 3D object that we have, and you can really build your own whatever you want. This, to give you an example, this miniature Golden Gate Bridge here is actually made out of banisters from our stairway that were just scaled up really large and put with the gold metal material on it.
And we have another question. What is the language which it's based on?
Yep, that's a really great question. All the gameplay code is written in Lua. All the gameplay code that we provide as Manticore in our frameworks is in Lua, and it's open source. So you can grab any of it and start with it. We've made it so that you don't have to know how to use the Lua and program in Lua to start working in Core. You can just drag and drop drop-downs, set numbers into parameters. But if you do know Lua, you can absolutely go ahead and modify all that code, change it to your heart's content. Closed beta users have already been doing that.
And that kind of answers a little bit of the next question, which was, do you need any programming experience?
No, you do not. Programming experience, I think, is always helpful, but you absolutely do not. You can drag and drop anything that either we as Manticore have created or that the community has created.
Excellent. Okay, I think that was it for now, but I'll keep you updated if there's any more questions.
All right, I'm going to start live casting this, shoutcasting this.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of players out, 3 left alive. It looks like Ford Pinto is pinned between Luck of Buck and Smithy. He's low on health, but he's got the most kills. We're going to see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and see how it looks like Luck of Buck has got epic sniper rifle up on the hill there. And these two are fighting it out in the forest. We have the circle closing. Smithy's going to get pushed in. He's going to have to come closer. Ford Pinto, if you can hear me and you've got band-aids, well, too late. Rip Ford Pinto. All right, down to Smithy and Luck of Buck, each with 1 kill, both at sniper rifles. And they're facing off. Luck of Buck is low on health. He's at 50%. 1 shot from that epic sniper rifle would probably kill him. And the circle is closing in. Smithy's going to have to move in soon, and we'll see what happens. After this game, I will probably go back to Core Plaza, and we can jump to some other games from there. Core Plaza has portals to all the games that we've... Oh, and Smithy won, took out Luck of Buck with a shot from the forest, and that is the end of that round. Congratulations. And I'm going to go ahead and jump out and go back into Core Plaza. There's a couple other games we could go to that should be really fun from there.
One thing I'd like to mention is, we talked about the entirely new field of possibilities that will be possible thanks to Core, and one of them is actually live game jamming. We talked about the speed of iteration, when you're building a game, the endless possibilities of collaborating with the community and having your games being played, tested, iterated super fast in a very open fashion. And some of the things that will be made possible will be this idea of kind of live game jamming. So this event where maybe on Twitch, creators actually do live game jams with live feed from the community, and they can make the changes happen super fast. And of course, in turn, post a link so that everybody can play the game and playtest the new game right away. And in turn, maybe even give the game to the community and then feature those new games iterate. Is that a portal?
Well, it is a portal. It's a Portal silly gun game. So this is one game that was made by one of our employees basically on his spare time. And it's really fun if you've ever played the gun game mods where, oh my goodness, I'm just getting killed already. Basically the way that this game works is that every time you get a point, your gun gets worse. So it's sort of the self-balancing mechanism. You can see what level everyone is there, what level their gun is. And so I'm starting off as level 1. And we will go from there.
And I think it's a very good example of what is possible with core, and especially expanding the definition of who makes games. So John Miller, who is the person who made that game, is a character artist, a lead character artist on the team, very, very experienced, world-class character artist. And here he is making one of the I think one of the best games that has been made on core to date in just a few weeks, and on his own pretty much.
So you can see the leader there has the crown. Everyone's got a silly hat that has different functionality. You can buy different hats, but right now I'm just going to try to get as many people as I can, and as I do my gun downgrades.
It's a very fun, frustrating, hard game. It's one of the most fun games.
All right, we can see some people have the slow gun. The slow gun there has very slow but damaging bullets. This is just really sort of an example of the creativity and the fun that you can make in core, literally as one person. Like Frederick said, John Miller, our lead character artist, made this game, and he had help. He did have help from one person. I should call out Jordan Louie, who made the map for him.
And John Miller is actually up next on stream talking about all of the design decisions that went into this game.
Awesome.
Tasha, do you want to maybe share with the community what's going to happen today and this week in terms of events? Because we have something called Core Live, right? That's the name of the Twitch channel, and Core Live is a very important part of Core. It's a place where we learn, we share, we help each other. So it's a mix between, Twitch streams, videos. It encompasses, of course, live tutorials, recorded tutorials, sessions where we're going to highlight people's games, where we're going to talk even sometimes not just about core, but about gaming in general, how to get into gaming, about game design, about game artistry, game programming, etc. And so we have already a series of really cool events today and this week.
There's a bug right there that you can fix, John Miller. You have a spawn point in the wall. So when John does his stream later, I'm sure he will show how fast it is to fix that bug within a few seconds and publish a new version of this game that will have that bug fixed.
Tasha, do you want to share maybe some scenarios?
Oh, yeah. So as I said, John is coming in after this to talk about game design and Silly Gun Game. Then we have a Let's Play with the community, so you'll have a chance to download the client, and then you can all hop in and join us on stream and in-game. Then we have another demo. This is for people who may have missed this one, or if you liked this one so much you want to see it again. Then we have Sasha, one of our amazing environment artists, up. And she's going to be talking about how to make your game look AAA using lighting and post-processing effects. And then we're closing up the day with another playtest featuring yours truly, by the way, so tune in.
Awesome. All right, so this was super fun, but I am absolutely no good, and rather than get killed over and over and over again on stream, let's go back to Core Plaza, and we can check out some other stuff. Or I could make a new game from scratch for the stream for people who may have missed the first demo. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Point I'm getting a question about is Core available on what platforms is Core available on? I'm getting that question actually from my wife. Sorry, hello. So Core is available on PC for creation. Likely at some point will be on one of the consoles later down the road, but for the creation part for creators, it is on PC for now. And then for players, it's going to be PC, mobile, consoles at some point, very, very quickly. But for now, it's PC only.
So what I just did is I created a new game, but I used our VFX demo level as a base game for it. So when you do that, you can basically load up any game that we've decided to share with the community and modify it and change it and everything. What I want to show off in this is all the cool VFX that you can get in Core for free that you can just literally copy and paste into your own game. So there's examples here of how to use them, and you can literally just select them in the editor and hit Control-C and then Control-V them into your own game and modify the parameters. So this level is put together by our VFX artists, and it's amazing. It's really beautiful, and you can load into it and do anything you want. So I'm going to fly around here and show some of the cool stuff you could do. Let's see, over here are some really cool material examples. All these materials come in Core, and you can just modify parameters, make them less noisy, more noisy, less bright, different colors, anything you want to, without having to know how to program shaders or any of that stuff. So let's go down here. We have underwater volumes that if I drop into the underwater volume, you can see I get the awesome light God rays, I get bubbles, I get swimming mechanics. All that is multiplayer capable and available for free for you to make your games off of. So if you've ever had a genius idea for your own game, now is the time to download Core and make it and share it with everybody. Cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and do some stuff. So let's go make a brand new project from scratch, and we'll show you some of the, maybe I'll show off a little bit of the terrain editing in an empty new project.
I have to say the terrain editor is so fun to use, and I first started using it when it was pretty bare bones, so to see how far it's come is insane.
So I've made a brand new terrain here, and I'm going to go ahead and find a cool material to put on it. I like this grass cliffs one because it makes grass on the tops of things but cliffs on the sides of them. So now I want to select my terrain and I want to go sculpt. So with sculpting, you can see that I can just sort of drag a brush around and raise mountains. If I hold Alt, I subtract. Now this is all actually voxel based, so if I dig out a hole there, it's not just a height map. I can actually make caves and dig all the way into this and stuff like that. Now rather than just use a brush that is shaped like this, I can actually go ahead and pick any 3D shape that is in the Core library. So if I want to make a really fancy terrain, I can do something like find this.
All right. Oh, we have another question from chat. T2Z asks, would I be able to make a mini RPG or MMORPG with the capabilities of Core?
Yeah, I think that is a really great question, and it sort of depends exactly on your definition of MMO, but yes, I think so. So I can imagine somebody, if a creator was so inclined, that they could make each zone of their MMO as a different game that has portals that go back and forth between them. And we do support persistence, so the creator can add persistence to their games so that characters can level up, gain weapons, gain gold, and stuff like that, and it all be persistent. So you can see I'm making some really interesting, cool-looking terrains here using my brushes. There's even a, let's see, where is it?
I'm getting a question about the people who are just joining us. So we've been demoing for a while. We've showed you the trailer, etc. But there are lots of Twitch viewers who are just joining us. So just to give you a bit of context, so we are Manticore Games, and today we are announcing the launch of our open alpha for Core. We shared the trailer already, and I would encourage you to watch the trailer and watch it again. Maybe Tasha can post the link to the trailer again in the chat. And what is Core at the most basic level? Core it has two sides, right? There's a side for the creators and a side for the players. So for the creators, it's really a free game construction kit, and for the players, it's a game playing platform. So analogies that were used for Core are, it's a little bit like Twitch on YouTube. On the one hand, you can create very easily, share very easily, collaborate very easily. And on the other hand, of course, you can play, you can go from game to game super fast in just a matter of seconds. So as a way of a quick intro for those who just joined us, and thanks, of course, for tuning in. And feel free to ask any question. Tasha and Jordan and myself are happy to answer anything.
Because we do have another question. Petrikova asks, if I create a game, will I have the sole copyright to it?
That is a very, very good question, and it's definitely covered in our TOS and our EULA. But I think that overall our stance is that yes, you retain the IP of your own creation. So your own creative endeavor, you retain the IP for it. We obviously own the models and the materials and the textures that we provide with Core. But any creative effort that you bring, you own.
Excellent.
So what I've done here to this game, I've been modifying the terrain, and I went to community content, and I happen to know that in the closed alpha, the community did a MOBA game jam, and so a bunch of people made MOBA bosses and towers, and I can literally just drag and drop that into my game, and it works, and it shoots at me, and I have to avoid the shots and stuff like that. So again, with no programming experience, I can make a complete tower defense game. I could make sort of anything that I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and carve out some area underneath this boss. We'll see if he'll shoot through the ground. He might. Let's make this bigger. Awesome. Oops.
All right, so we are coming up on time because we want to give John Miller enough time to set up for a silly gun game. So any closing thoughts, Jordan and Frederick?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, welcome, of course, to our open alpha. We're glad that you're all here on Twitch watching. Core really is a one-stop service platform to make any game that you want. And it could be multiplayer, it could be single player, it could be mini MMO if you wanted to connect all your zones together. And we're including with it all the assets, all the games that we made are open sourced, and you can go ahead and download those and start from those. If you just go to Create New, Community Share Games, you'll find all the games that we've made and all the games that the community have made and decided to share with everybody to start off with. And we're really excited to have everybody here. We hope you really enjoy all the games that we've made, all the games that the community are making, and we really are excited to see all the games that everybody out there in Twitchland who's ever had a game idea or ever had a better idea for a battle royale, now is the time to make it.
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, of course, a big thank you to everybody for tuning in. I think it's the beginning of a new era. As I mentioned before, I believe Core is going to unleash a new form of creativity, a new wave of creativity in gaming today. Also, it will bring a new generation of game creators, wherever you are, whomever you are in the world. Let your creativity shine. So, of course, invite you to experience Core, experiment during the open alpha. Obviously, Core is still early, so please bear with us. Send us feedback, whether you find bugs, etc. Give us ideas, so on and so forth. But it's really an invitation to be creative, be collaborative, be supportive of each other to create a whole new series of games and a whole new world. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, stay tuned, guys. We're going to have a lot of really fun content for you guys, and we're just going to roll out to the trailer in case you missed it the first time. All right, talk to you soon.